Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Zep and welcome back to the channel, and today we are listening to the album Anima by Thom Yorke. Well, we're beginning to listen through. This is the first song, Traffic. Now, the reason why I'm reacting to this album now, it is an album that I've heard before. It's up there with one of my favourite albums. I've quite a story behind why the album is sort of important to me, why I like it so much, but I think that'll be a story for another day, maybe when it comes to the album review. But I just thought it'd be interesting to do a reaction to this album on the YouTube channel, because at the moment we are reacting, or well, I've recorded most of the videos and streamed it already, but this is going to be going up at the same time as the reactions to the new album by The Smile, A Light for Attracting Attention, an album which so far at least I really like. I'm not completely finished the recordings as of yet. Apologies, by the way, if this is your first time seeing me. I've been sick for quite a while. I'm currently getting over being sick. That's why I'm not even streaming these. I usually like to stream music reactions, but I'm recording because I'm not necessarily feeling up to streaming at the moment. So I just thought it'd be interesting to have this album be going up on the channel alongside the other album, just to sort of hear sort of it's not like a continuation of sound. You know, The Smile are doing their own thing, they're doing their own different thing to what Thom Yorke was doing on his own, but this is, I suppose, the next big project that he's worked on in terms of an album, and it'll be interesting to hear the differences in tone and the contrast. You know, it's sort of the progression from his point of view from this album, which came out in 2019, to A Light for Attracting Attention, which came out only a week or so ago as of recording this. So I'm not going to do too much delaying. These videos probably aren't going to be super long. They're most likely going to get copyright strike because, or copyright claimed, because I don't see myself doing many pauses to talk, because my voice still isn't fully back to talking over an extended period of time. Obviously, I'm going to pause where I can, you know, to try and make it a little better, but there are no promises. I'm probably going to do 2 pauses during it, but sometimes 1 pause, and then I'll give my final opinions at the end. But before we get into the video, I'd be very interested to hear what your opinions are on the album, on Thom Yorke, and on A Light for Attracting Attention. And if you didn't realize that was out, that is the next body of work that came out after Anima, and I highly recommend you go check that out. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of all this, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoy, and leave a like if you enjoy. Without further ado, let's get into it with the first song from the album Anima. This is Traffic. Beat really sucks you in off the bat. Okay, so we're probably going to do 2 pauses in this one, as it's over 5 minutes. I do quite enjoy this song. It'll sort of be my reaction to a lot of this album, in that I'm not probably going to be sitting here and seem overly hyped, but I am really enjoying it. It's just that this album for me doesn't necessarily get me in the hype zone. It's more of like a casual enjoyment type of album for me, in a sort of more chill out sense. And with this first song, I mean, if you wanted to draw comparisons between this and A Light for Attracting Attention, it seems like this may reside more on the electronic experimental side in comparison to what I've heard so far on the other album, where it seems to be more based on the groove and the unique sort of combinations between the instruments, you know, whereas, yeah, this album seems way more, it's not necessarily more out there, and it still has sort of a groove to it, or you can sense the groove, but from a way more electronic sense compared to the newer stuff. And I personally, I always have a bit of a connection just to the instruments. That's where it hits home for me, but I also have a lot of fascination when it comes to the playing around with electronics, and Thom Yorke is very good at both. I feel like the rhythm of the song hooks you in quite quickly. It sort of, I every time I react to an album, I say that the opening song I feel is somewhat important in setting, or very important to setting the tone of an album, and I feel like this song definitely does that so far. But I don't want to be speaking too much. I don't want to give everything away that I'm thinking. We'll let it play a bit more. Very 90s sound, that, isn't it? Very early 90s, mid to late 90s, or late 90s sound. Very well produced. Very, very well produced. Alright, this is where we're going to do the last pause. I mean, there's one thing with this type of music where typically with music, my favorite stuff would be that I quite like a build. I like hearing it start small and grow quite a bit. You know, I've always had a fondness to that when it comes to music, and it's something I think Radiohead, especially in their early days, I think done a lot of and done quite well. I find with this stuff, and it's not a criticism by any means, it sort of again speaks to sort of what I like about the album, how it feels way more mellow, is that yes, it is rising, but it's rising, or at least with this song at least, because I forget how a lot of them go, which is why I'm doing the reaction. I don't really know the album off by heart, but it's not a song that feels like it strayed so far away from where it began, but it does have subtle builds to keep you interested. I mean, anyone who I'd say is in any way a decent producer will or very good or a good producer will add those things in to fill it out and to build it up and to progress through the song. But the song very much sort of stays in the vibe that it sets from the beginning, with no sort of real shift in maybe the pacing or how the song will climax. It just very much keeps you on that vibe, and I feel like that's what the album as a whole does. It keeps you in a certain vibe. Let's play it through to the end anyway, and I will give you my final thoughts. very unique vocals as well for it. I like that little bit that's been added in and is fading in through this. Couldn't for the life of me describe the beat to you because I wouldn't know. This bit here that's becoming more prominent. And those sounds sort of fade. Oh, do not straight away play the next one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Traffic by Thom Yorke, the first song from the album Anima. I have to say I do quite enjoy that song, you know. It's not my favourite from the album by any means, but you know what I find a lot about or with this type of music, I sort of find myself in sort of like a trance state where it just gets me and it gets me thinking. Maybe it gets me back to the story that I had mentioned before, to do with why this album sort of means quite a bit to me. But I'm not spoiling that story. If you want to hear that story, you have to listen to all the reactions and listen to the review of the album at the very end when we're finished. It's a really interesting song by an obviously really interesting artist. I mean, look, if you're here watching this video, I don't need to explain Thom Yorke to you, and you know the way he is and the way a lot of fans think about him if you enjoy his later work, you know. What he can do is really just interesting to the ears, interesting to the listener. You always wonder where it's kind of going to go next. You know, the hardcore fans of his, maybe from the earlier days, more of a fan of the rock stuff, may try and say that he strayed a little bit from that stuff, and a lot of this stuff can sound like boring experiments. You know, I to play devil's advocate, I could perfectly see why people wouldn't like this type of stuff, and there'd be no expectation on my part. It's like to try and make you like this stuff. You very much either do or you don't. And I think with this kind of music as well, you can very much be a fan of the creative mind behind it as much as the music itself. I feel like it's what is this mind going to create next is kind of in equal part the intrigue into this music alongside just purely the sound of the music itself. And to go back, just to wrap it all back up, to give it out of 10, I think I'd give it an 8.3. It's still quite a high score. I mean, maybe people would have expected higher from me if depending if you've been watching the streams or maybe, you know, I recorded like 5 or 6 of the songs already from A Light for Attracting Your Attention. This is probably the second video you're seeing in the sort of series of videos that I'm releasing, if you're kind of keeping up to date. So maybe no, this is probably around the area you would have been expecting. There's songs in this that are definitely going to get higher. There are songs in this that are potentially going to get lower. But to have your baseline around 8.3, I think is very good for the album. It's a very good opener. I really, really enjoy it. It just wouldn't be my absolute favorite, and I want to try and remain sort of impartial. But I'm very uneducated when it comes to this type of music. I'm not the most educated in music to begin with. I just feel like I have a decent ear for music. I've been told that before, but when it comes to this kind of music, I'm kind of clueless about it and can only tell you whether I enjoy it or don't enjoy it. A lot of subjectivity will appear when it comes to listening to this album. Because I couldn't tell you what would make it good and what would make it bad. It's purely what I think of it. It's purely my personal opinion. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you thought of the video, what you thought of me if this is your first time seeing me. As long as it's nice. Please be nice. No, I'm kidding. Say whatever you want. It's a free world, people. It's the beauty of the world. It's a free one. In terms of speech, not in terms of living. So make sure to leave a comment down in the comments below if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and I will hopefully see you in the next one, because we're going to be moving on to Last I Heard. He was circling the drain. We're doing this entire album, folks. I hope you'll come on this journey with me, and I hope you're coming on the journey with the other album, A Light for Attracting Attention, as well. Just take care. I will see you in the next one. Peace.